Ten days ago, it was my privilege to be one among 400,000 people in New York City in the People's Climate March. I just walked a bit, okay? So, ordinary folks from diverse backgrounds, elders, youth, kids, and luminaries walked step in step for a more sustainable future for our planet. One guy brought it home with his nautically challenged theme. There were many remarkable things about the People's Climate March, but here's what stood out for me. People, ordinary folks, have made the clear and unequivocal connection that a sustainable future is inextricably tied to clean energy, and clean energy is an awesome force which can restore, reconnect, revitalize, respect, reinvigorate, reinvest, and renew economies, relationships, and communities. The signs are telling from that march. Jobs, justice, clean energy. Renewable energy, 100%. Maybe not realistic, but a goal. Clean energy, safe planet. Clean energy is the way, go solar. In the work I do, I act as clean energy advisor to Aboriginal communities across this vast and hauntingly beautiful land, the traditional territory of First Peoples, Inuit, and Métis communities. And last year, some of you know, I wrote a book about the subject. Aboriginal Power tells a story, the many stories, about how Aboriginal communities are becoming co-owners and co-participants in the development of renewable energy resources such as hydro, solar, or wind across Canada. Over 80 First Nations, Métis, and Inuit communities are now partners in small to very large projects, and one can expect that another 100 projects are coming down the line in the next decade. The sum total of the investments in these projects in our country will be $145 billion. That's a big number. The price of my book is cheaper, and I'll have it outside later. These projects are led by Indigenous people, people like Peter Kirby of the Taco River Tlingit First Nation in northern BC, replacing diesel power with hydro. Judith Sayers of the Hupakasset Nation on the shores of Port Alberni and the projects that she's done, and Gordon Planes of the Sauk First Nation near Victoria. Let me tell you the story of how this work is being done and why it's restorative and why it holds lessons for how energy, renewable and non-renewable, is developed in our country. When the Sauk First Nation decided to develop renewable energy, they talked for 2 years in their community. They figured out what they would do to make it do right. And then they did projects like this. Solar power installations in one building in the community, but this is only one building among 40. The Sauk First Nation made that investment. They didn't ask anybody else to. And they made that investment because they fundamentally believe it's restorative. This picture is of Chief Denise Restoule and the former Chief Marty Restoule of the Dokies First Nation, beside the French River in Ontario, the river that connects the Ottawa River watershed and the St. Lawrence and the Great Lakes. It's the Channel of Canada. It's the route of fur traders. The Dokies community, with dams that were already there 100 years ago, built 100 years ago, is now a co-partner in a project owning 40% of a hydro project that will generate earnings for them for decades. It's a big project. But when they did it, the Dokies Nation said from day one, remember this is a heritage river of Canada, the first heritage river of our country, they said, let's follow it sustainably. And they put those essential elements in place so that hydropower, even a big project like this one, can be restorative. And what they did with that is they did things like improving walleye habitat, protecting endangered species sites, preserving ancient archaeological pictographs, reconstituting the original Chaudière Portage Bridge. That bridge built like a canoe will go over the river, the route that Champlain and Etienne Brulé were taken down by Ojibwe guides. And they've sought community input through the whole process. They've preserved the stone pots from the archaeology. They've developed plans for cultural and interpretation centers that will be part of the site after. And they're using the money they're earning from the project in a trust that will build equity for years and being reinvested in education, economic development, and community infrastructure. That is energy that is restorative. The power of energy in Canada, and the story of Aboriginal energy, and the lesson for other sectors, including the fossil sector, is that it can be a restorative force if you do the following things that are on the slides. If you connect people truly with energy, energy is not some separate thing over here with mega projects, it's about people's lives. If you, as I explained with the Doki's project, if you revitalize ecology, habitat, wildlife, fishery, so it's better after a project, not worse. If you respect heritage, culture, and history, and you reinvigorate those economies, not just for the building phase and the multipliers on that side, but for generations while the projects move forward, and you invest those resources in legacies for generations. And you also have an impact on climate. So that's the simple message I'll leave with you, is that Canada's First Peoples get it. They understand that restorative energy on their lands can be a force that for good economically, socially, and environmentally. And when you do that, you create a clean energy capital circle. You build know-how and knowledge and skills in generating businesses. You augment entrepreneurial capacity. You create jobs in enterprises and create long-term income. It restores relationships with those people who have walked this land first. Ladies and gentlemen, Shauna Morgan, my friend, is Cree, but she's also white. She says she looks through the world with two eyes, her Cree eyes and her white eyes. And she sees the positive pluses of both. And I believe what we need to do with energy, be it in renewable or fossil, we need to look at how projects are truly deeply restorative. And that is not business as usual. That's a different way of doing things. I'll give you this truth. The cheapest and most expeditious energy options, route, or alternatives isn't necessarily best for society. And they often don't happen. Or I'll say to my friends, the oil patch, how's it going right now? Maybe the way it's being done needs to change. There's nothing wrong with fossil, but maybe it needs to change. And maybe we need to do renewable energy even better than we've been doing it. In closing, perhaps this image from the People's Climate March touched me. This young girl, at this point 4 kilometers into the march, is wearing a T-shirt that has a handwritten message that says, "Thank you for marching for me and our planet." She's expressing a plea for us to stop talking about sustainable energy and walk the talk of energy as a restorative force. Can we? Thank you.